Right, so here we go. Here's the video you've been waiting for. This is the one to make the actual paracord bracelet for all your slingshot ammo. As I've shown you a couple of times, this one here. And if you went through the last video that I'd done, getting a magnet, you may have gone out and bought one or whatever it is, or done what I'd done and got one from a hard drive, because I'm sure there's people out there where you got a hard drive from, or there's someone you really dislike in your family and you can just dismantle their computer and pull the hard drive out just to teach them a lesson. But anyway, you got your magnet, and now we're going to make the actual bracelet. So all the gear I've got, I'm just going to change to my handy dandy above and below upside down weirdness camera. So the equipment you need is paracord, of course, like we're making a paracord bracelet. Gonna need your magnet. You're gonna need a lighter. Now if you've dealt with paracord before, you already know this, but I'm going over this just in case anyone out there hasn't ever done a paracord bracelet. You need the lighter so that you can just singe the ends, and so like that, because otherwise it all frays out, everything falls out. You just need to burn it, and it's polyester, so it will turn to like a plastic, just like the plastic ends on a shoelace. For this specific one, you don't need this always, but you're going to need glue. I'm just using a Gorilla super glue. I do have a spare to the side as well, because I'm not sure last time I used this if it's dried up. Any kind of sticky substance, because basically we're going to be making, I'll explain it, we're going to be doing, imagine this is the whole bracelet, so we're going to make this, then we're going to glue a magnet on in the middle, and then we're going to weave over it so that it's kind of hidden, like you don't really see it. So that's why we need the glue. Just makes life easier. If you don't have glue, you could probably use like that wood glue or something like that. You just need something to hold the magnet steady whilst you weave over it. So you could use like wood glue, or that the kids glue they get at school, that white stuff that goes clear and everyone puts it on their hand and peels it off and goes, "Oh, I'm peeling my skin off." That one. All you need is to hold that magnet steady whilst you weave over it. And this, not necessary, but it will make a little bit easier, and that's a pair of tweezers. That is because at the end, because on this one I'm not using a shackle or a buckle or anything like that. We're doing this what they call the Mad Max style. So that's from the last Mad Max movie. Tom Hardy, who was Mad Max in that, apparently he really got into paracord because he made, like, I can't remember the exact story, it is out there, but I think one of his friends was in the army and made him a paracord bracelet, and then Tom Hardy really got into it and he started making paracord bracelets for everyone. And apparently even when he met Mel Gibson to talk about the whole part, he made Mel Gibson a paracord bracelet, so the story says. So I put my magnet, I've got a little pot of ammo here, so here's my magnet, I'm just putting it out the way. I've put it on the side of the pot, of course, because if I put it in there, it's just going to pick up all these, and yeah, so it's just cleaner. Put the magnet out the way, and we're going to put all of our items out of the way. So I've got two colours here. I've cut 14 feet of each one. Now before you go off cutting your 14 feet of paracord, measure your wrist, and we're going to go over like how much I cut off at the end. So I've gone way over what I need. I can't tell you how much paracord you'd need because people weave differently. I tend to weave very tightly when I do a paracord bracelet. I pull it really tight, so I'm going to use less than what some people like it a bit more, the knots a bit loose, but I tend to pull it quite tight. So what I'm going to do first of all is measure out 20 inches. So on my mat here, so that is 16, and then I'm just going to pinch at the 0, keep this hand here, move along until I get to 4, So 16, 4, 20. So there's my 20 inches. Now, we don't have to have exactly that amount. This is for the core and for the bit that's actually gonna thread all through. So 20 inches is way over. You're gonna see by the end of this video or read in the description how much I actually did use. So what we're going to do is create a T. So these are the 20-inch ones. These are going to remain in the middle at all times. They never move from the middle. We're just going to be working on the really long sides on the left and the right. So this is going to be the core. Remember, it's always coming down. These are our short ends. The long ends, I'm going to untangle. Let's get this colourful one off to the side. Just get it prepared. So there, we've got like a T shape. Remember, always down the middle. These are our 20 inches. They're not going to move. We're not going to weave with them. They are the core. They're not going to move. So what we're going to do first is create 2 loops. And what these are for, as I said at the end, to thread all the cord through to make this an adjustable bracelet. And I'm just going to move that out of the way. So I've effectively created 2 loops here. If I hold it down just a little bit further, just so you can see, so we're going long, short, short, long, so that the short ends are always down in the middle. Right, so we're going to move up because we don't need enormous loops for this. We'll be able to tighten them up. But what we're going to do now is we're going to start our cobra weave. So I'm going to start doing this as best I can. It's a lot more difficult when you've got a camera in the way. But remember that the middle 2 are just the core. We're never going to be weaving with those. And so I pre-measured, I know my wrist is 10.5 inches all the way round. But when we make the bracelet, as you see, like my fist is wider. Even if I hold my hand out, it's wider than my wrist. So we need to make something that's going to fit over that and then get to the wrist and then be able to shrink down. And you'll see how it works at the end. So what we're going to do is the cobra weave. This I always think of the number 4. So what I'm going to do is take this long end, the green, we're going to go through. This is the hardest bit, is getting it started, because once there's a couple of knots you can let go. I'm going to take the green and pull it over, just so it's clear. So this green is going to go under 2 over 1. If you've done paracords or whips or anything like that, that's how they describe these. Under 2 over 1 means under 2 cords over 1. So we're going to go under the 2. Let's pull this over. So we've gone under 2 over 1. Now this, let me see if I can angle myself. Here's the loop that we made. So we've gone, see, under 2 over that one. This, we're going to come over that, over this one and over the other 2 and go into the loop that we made. Not the loop at the start, but the one where we just threaded it over. So I'm going to put that through there and pull all of this cord through. That is our first cobra knot. So what I'm going to do is pull down on these middle bits just to tighten them up and try and get them as small as possible. We'll be able to tighten them up again after. Right, so there are our 2 loops. I'm talking about this bit of green here and this bit of colour here. So here, these are our two loops that we're going to thread all through at the end. So those just very not pulled tight. But basically now what we're going to do is continue to do that kind of weave. So we're going to go under 2 and pull that over. And then with this one we're going to go over. We're going to go under that one, over these two, and through the loop that we made. Again, this is more awkward the first few stitches. Any paracord bracelet, if you're doing it like this, it's always awkward the first few stitches. So I'm going to just tighten it up a little bit. But basically, that's our start there. It looks a little bit weird, I know, here. So let me get those tweezers. Just so you can see, so this loop here and this loop here, that's where our paracord is going to thread all through at the end. So the good thing about doing this in two colours is you don't have to keep track of whether you're doing left or right. Because I always started with green, so it's always going to be the green that I'm going to be working with. Let's call that our working string, remember? 2 middle, don't touch. And then it's always under 2, over 1. And then for this, we come under here and through here. See, this is like, when I pull it like this, do you see like there's like a number 4 shape? That's why I always think of the number 4. So going under, and then we're going to go through this loop that we made. See where it's coming underneath? Just going to thread all that through. We're going to pull it like crazy through here. And then I'm going to pull that tight. And if you want, you can hold on to those middle ones or push it up a little bit, but not too much. Because you still need those open, those little bunny ear bits at the top. So we've done that. Let's keep going with this. So we're going to go, and I'm going to do a few of these, and then we're going to pause the video. Let's do like 5 or 6, just so you can get used to the pattern. And then I'll pause it till I've finished the whole, or this part of the bracelet. So remember, we're going to go, we're always starting with the green, because we started with the green was the first one we done, so we always do the green. So I went under 2, fiddly working with such long cords. So we went with the green, we went under the 2, over this one, then this one's going to come up over all of them through the hole that we made. Oh, that just pulled something over. This is a lot easier sitting on the couch, and once you've done this, like, you can make these really easy and sitting on the couch. So there. Do a few more of these. So, and again, we've still got our loops up here, so we're still good, and they're still kind of a little bit loose. Don't know if that shows up there. See, we've still got a little bit of a hole there, because we're going to need to, now that we've got a couple of knots, this green end, so these are the short ends, the green is going to go through there, this colourful one is going to go through there, so basically that's going to be, if I show you like this, that's going to be our bracelet. So here's our bracelet where the wrist goes, like this, and then the cords threaded through those loops are going to be the adjuster. See how they can adjust, and we're going to tie a little toggle knot just so you don't accidentally pull it all the way through. Now, again, because we start with green, we know we've always got to do green, and we always go in. What is it? Under 2. Pull that over. And then this one's going to come under and over those two. So under that one, under 1 over 2, that would be, and pull. Again, green. Always working with the green. You're not always working from the left side or right, whatever you started with. Always work with that same cord. The way I remember it, if you ever get lost, whatever one has the down side, so like if I bring it like here back to our T, and if this was one colour, I'd be like, oh shit, like which side was it again? Look for the side that goes down. You want to do the opposite side. So wherever it's coming down to the lowest point, see here, the green coming down, and then there's like an orange, like our colourful one here. Here's the green, and that comes just going downwards, down the side. So that was our last stitch. That tells me I've got to use the right hand side. So there's your tip. If you lose your place, look at the left and right. Wherever it's going down at the lowest was your last stitch. So you're going to do the opposite side. Here, boom. So we're doing the opposite side. Remember our pattern? We're going under 2, over 1. And this gets easier. Of course, as you weave, your rope gets shorter, gets easier. So now we're all, because we've gone over that, so we're going to come under from there. We're going to go over those 2 core strands into that hole. Pull all your cord through. Right, so we're going to do 2 more just to show you exactly how it goes. Oops, I got lost. Where was I again? The green is pointing down. Here's my lowest stitch. So if it was all one colour, doesn't matter. Look for the one that goes down. That was on the lowest point. That was your last stitch. You're going to do the opposite side of that. So here we're going to go, remember the pattern, under 2, over 1. So there, so we've done that, our under 2, over 1. This, it's already kind of under. We're going to go over those 2 into the hole that we made, pull all of the cord through, and pull, and there. So as you see, as you pull it, sometimes you have to give it a little tweak and a twist. As you pull it, you'll see it actually pulled that down. So I think one more will do. Under 2, over 1. And just so you know, after we've done the whole magnet part, the King Cobra is exactly the same thing. No different. You're just going over the top. It looks different at the end result, but all we're doing is exactly the same weave over the Cobra. So a Cobra over a Cobra. So we do that, pull it tight, and as you'll see if you watch here, as I pull it tight, that becomes that one that's pointing down. So remember that. Last time I'll say it, probably not, because you know me, I repeat myself all the time. But one pointing down was your last stitch. Your next stitch is always the opposite of the one that's pointing down. So let's stop here. I'm going to weave down to, and I'll jump back in. You just don't want to see me going over and over again with this. Maybe you do. If you like seeing me doing this over and over again, just rewind a few minutes and just put that on a loop. So I'm going to weave down, not all of the way. I want to leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So remember, I said my wrist is 10.5. So I want 9.5 inches of a cobra knot. So from here all the way down to 9.5. So about there. I want to weave all the way down to 9.5. I will stop there and I'll see you in a minute. Right, okay, I'm back, and just to say I have removed some of the stitches I'd done. The 9.5 was way over. So I'm at 8 inches. Now to give you an idea of how you want the bracelet to be at this point, you want it to come around your wrist like that, and have about an inch gap, like so, an inch of flesh. So from these loops that we're going to loop through to here, and as you see, that's fairly tight-ish. You want that roughly an inch. Again, like this is adjustable. Do it to your own like comfort levels. But basically, we're going to have a little bit of string in the middle, and there'll be coming off, and then there'll be a toggle, and that will stop it unraveling. So get it to about this point. So my wrist, I haven't lost weight since maybe like a hundredth of a gram or something, but yeah, I haven't lost tons of weight. My wrist is still the 10.5 inches, so this is 8 inches. Again, I'll show you this on my mat here. So just a touch over 8, I've done it. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, the measurements, because we're not using buckles. So here's our bracelet, how we was weaving it. Let's get the long sides out to our T. So I can move this up just so we can see. So here's our short lengths. These, again, these are going to be going through here. So you'll see that towards the end. But we've got to a point now where we now need to put our magnet on. So it depends how strict you don't have to be strict with this at all. It depends on how finicky you are. I know my wrist is 10.5 inches. Okay, we've said that already. So what I'm going to do is show you, if you did want to try and get it as close to the middle as possible. Here's my magnet. So I'm going to measure my magnet, and that is about 1.5 inches. So 10.5 inches, halfway for that would be 5.25. Let's move my magnet here. 5.25 is roughly there. I'll do it from this side. So there's, I'll move this so you can see. So there's roughly 5.25. So that is the exact middle of the bracelet for my wrist, roughly where it be. Now, of course, I'm not going to stick the magnet there, because then that's off center. Remember, where my nail is here is the middle, so we want the middle of the magnet to be there. So you could be strict like this and say, oh, okay, that's 1.5 inches, so 3/4 of an inch off. So we could, let's just do this over here. So 3/4 of an inch is roughly there. Luckily, these magnets, they come off like a rainbow kind of shape. So you could eyeball it and just say, okay, right, so that has to go there. So remember here, let's move this over more into the camera. So here is my 5.25 inch. So that's exactly half of my wrist. And here's roughly half of that magnet. So roughly there. Put my fingernail there, and I know now that's the start of it. This is still my 5.25. So all we're going to do now is, what I'm going to do is just measure this so I know that's where the magnet goes. So that is roughly 6.25-ish, 6.25. We won't be too strict on this. Right, so what I'm going to do is, I have a little bag here, and this is just so that the glue doesn't go onto my mat. What I'm going to do, a couple of dots of glue on here, glue it on. Doesn't have to be perfect, because remember, we're not seeing this, it's going to get covered up. So let's get our glue ready. Let's get our, so it's about there-ish, something like that. So that is the edge, like that isn't that thing. I was measuring, that's why it looks a bit extra, so that's like that. Let's make sure of that. So 5.25 is the halfway mark. There. So half of the magnet needs to be there, So now the edge, right, so I was over, so the very edge of that needs to be, oh, sorry, if you're saying how dumb are you, it's because this is upside down. I know it looks the right way round to you, but the camera's flipped. So the 5 1/4 is there. That, and I am probably dumb as well, but so the 5 1/4 is roughly where the halfway for the magnet needs to be, so it's sort of just below the 6-inch mark is where the end of the magnet will be. So I'm just going to pop this on here. Let's see if we can get some. I do have another glue as well, as I say, like this one's, it looks like it's coming out. Maybe not. Right, I think this glue is dried out or something. Yeah, I think it's dried or blocked. So luckily I did bring up this other glue. So let's do this and oh, there, that's all we need, just a tiny drop. Because remember, this just has to hold it in place. So let's go to here. It was just under 6. Actually, let's use these tweezers. Or not. Because of course they're metal. Right, so there's roughly the middle. And I am going to pause. Didn't need that bag, that was just in case because I didn't want to ruin my cutting mat. So I'm going to leave this now just for a little while, let that glue set, and then I'll be back once that's done. Right, I took a little break there just while it was sticking, but now we've got our Paracord bracelet with a magnet on there. So, at the moment what we have is the Cobra. That was, remember, it's the same as what we had, or what I had before. So, what we're going to do, let's just neaten up these cords and remind you where we are. Remember these middle cords, these are the short ones, never get touched, or well, not while we're weaving. So what we're going to do now, to make the King Cobra, we need to weave backwards. A lot easier than it sounds. I'm probably over dramatizing it even in my voice. All we have to do is turn it around, and let's just flip these long ends so that they're on the right sides. Right, so here's the ends to those 20-inch ones. Those are going up now. So, because remember, we've flipped it around. That's all we've done, we've twisted it. So our magnet is still up here, and it doesn't matter what side the magnet is on for this stage. It will do once you thread the end parts through. You want to make sure it's outside. But if you were to be weaving it and suddenly realise, oh, the magnet was underneath, it doesn't make a difference at this stage. So here's our long ends. Our short ends, the 20 inches, are now going up. These are our working ends. And all we're going to do is exactly the same. Because we were working downwards before, we just flip the bracelet 180 and we just keep doing exactly the same as what you just done. Except now, instead of that core, like those two that we were threading over, we're now using the bracelet as the core. So instead of going under 2 over 1, we go under the bracelet over one. It's as simple as that. And then we're going to get this red, we're going to thread it through. I say red, it's the light in here because it looks red on my monitor. But this, you have to sort of shuffle it up a bit, pull that knot tight, get it up there, and that's it. We've now started the King Cobra. Again, instead of under 2 now, remember our little rhyme under 2 over 1 is now under the bracelet over 1. Grab this, bring it over, thread it through. Now, if you're not used to doing paracord bracelets and you're going, oh, you've done something different just then, I've done a bite, what they call a bite, and that's just basically a bend in the paracord. It makes it easier for dealing with stuff. So remember, for me, I'm always using the green, and it's the same rule as before. If you lose track, look at the last one that's pointing up and down. That was your last stitch. You want to go to the opposite side of that. I know I keep saying it. I'm just trying to help, like, because I know how easy it is to, if you've never done this, to suddenly get lost and be like, oh, where was it again? Where was I? Remember, the up and down is your last stitch. You go to the opposite of that. But as you see, we're literally doing the same thing now over again. But I'm going to show you what I did to make it quicker, and like using your slingshot. As you get more experience with it and keep practicing, you just learn these little tweaks you can do to make things fast, like loading the pouch and stuff like that. So think of it like that. So all I did was, remember, this is our long end. We're going under the bracelet now. Pull that over to the side. Oh, we're going over this. Then we're going to grab this, and all I've done from here is I folded it. So see, I've got like this little loop. So under the bracelet here, I reach under that, grab here. I'm doing the same movement, I'm just describing it differently. I'm doing a little fold, I put that through. That basically gives me a lot more freedom to then just go whoomp, and pull all the cord through. As you get faster and faster at this, you'll see it becomes easier. But you're seeing now, so it kind of looks a bit different, but it's still exactly the same weave. We're doing exactly the same thing. So that should build your confidence a bit in doing paracord bracelets. And if you're just playing around, then try this little bite method. Instead of threading everything through, I just got it under the bracelet. I grab this, I fold it into a bite, they call this in paracord things, paracording, if that's a word. Put it through that loop and then just pull all of that excess through. See how that King Cobra is just that little bit bigger. Every now and again when you're doing like these, I tend to pull my knots really tight and it tends to warp the bracelet a little bit. So every now and again you just have to give it a little, not twist like that, but sort of move it, get it looking straight again. So we're going to do, let's say 3 more, just to make sure that you got it. And then I'm going to pause this and get to the end. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's speed this up. And so you can see it going over. It still gets tangled up. Just wanted you to see it going over the magnet, so you know roughly how that's going to work. So we're going under the bracelet, we're going over the bracelet. I guess that's a good way of describing it. I never really thought about that. So the green, we're going under the bracelet, grab this colour one and we go over the bracelet. And yeah, sometimes you have to shuffle it around a little bit and move it because it gets caught on other bits of paracord. So under the bracelet, and then over the bracelet. And as you see, as you pull it, whenever you pull it taut, that's when you get that stitch up and down. So if you watch this one, so remember we're going under the bracelet, and then we're going over that, over the whole bracelet. And we're pulling that through, get that to here. As you see, before I even pull it taut, you can already see that that's going to be the up and down. So just pull it taut. Before you pull it really tight, just make sure it's like shifted properly and it's not twisting or anything. But let's go under the bracelet. We're going to come over the bracelet. Now it's going to be a bit weird. Oh, it's going to be a bit weird, of course, when we get to that magnet, because it's going to be off just a little bit because, literally, because the magnet's there. So what I do is just do a few looser knots over it, but it should. Yeah, see, so it's going to be a bit weird there. But we're going to continue on. So we go under the bracelet, and then over the bracelet. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to keep going. If you're thinking, oh, how long is he going to go for? This is for people that have never done it. So here's where you start getting to that awkward phase, but that is not looking bad now. On there. Then we're always going to be green under the bracelet. And then this over and through. I'm doing that little bite method, pulling it through, and then you just got to be that bit more careful on these because it catches, because things are now going a bit uneven purely because of that magnet. So we're going to go under the bracelet, we're going to come over the bracelet. We're not going to come over the bracelet. Well, you could wash it if you do. Yeah, don't ever come to me for money from YouTube, because I am not getting monetized. But I prefer it that way, just doing my little waffle like I do with other things. I would much prefer to be me. Like, I mean, how much do average Slingshot YouTubers get for YouTube like that? And that's why I'm not after money for this. This is all this YouTube channel thing. It's for me. It's for fun. And as I say, I know I'd never get monetized, and I would much rather be me. That I can just let it rip, I can say what I feel and what I want. I don't have to censor myself. I can just be me. And I don't know if YouTube would ever even bring in enough money to even tempt me away from, let's call it freedom of speech. Me being free to say what I like. And I know people are laughing hysterically at that, because you can't do that on YouTube, of course, but for as much as I possibly can. Right, so we're getting there now. So we do 2 more, just to show it clear. So remember, under the bracelet, and we're going over that other cord. The other cord comes up. I'm just going to create that bite, push it through, and pull it. And we've now cleared that magnet. So we are getting very close to being done. And do 1 more. Going to go under the bracelet, over the one, grab that one, bite it, put it through, and feel free, like the first stage, if you want to thread it through, do you. It's whatever is better for you to learn this process. So that under the bracelet, over that, bring that through as a bite, pull it through, and there we go. And that one's got knotted up a bit, and I just tweak it a bit in the back. I'm feeling it with my finger. I could feel it off. You can always flip it over. You can have a look. Look, it actually looks quite nice. The King Cobra looks nice on the underside. But right, so I'm going to pause this video or stop this one, and I'm going to finish off this bracelet till I get to near the end, and then I'll be back. Right, we're actually nearly there. Here's our bracelet. So these are our 20 inches from the start still. That's still pointing up. So you can tell the difference. Your core ones or your 20-inch ones will be coming out the top. We have a look at the other end, just in case you've twisted it and you don't know which end is which. The weaving ends will come out the sides. You see, they're going east and west. Those are going north or south, whatever way you want to look at it. This is what I actually really like. This so this weave is the King Cobra. It looks nice on both sides. But here's our magnet, ready to pick up ammo. So what we do, I've weaved down to nearly the end, but what I'm going to do, let me see if I can adjust this right to the middle. So there's one stitch left to do. So what you want to do is get the bracelet to here where there's just still, you have to guesstimate it. You can always undo a stitch like these weaves. If it's wrong, just pull on it and it will come apart. That's why, remember, we need the lighter to seal it so that it doesn't. So if you've gone too far, just undo one, but you want to leave one stitch left, so that little gap there. Reason is we're going to do a clean end. So what we do is not, don't worry, it's not too dissimilar to what we've been doing already. It's just very subtle difference. So remember, our green end is our working end, so we're going to go behind the bracelet. This is going to come over, and we're basically doing the cobra knot as we've done it always before, but don't pull it tight. So we've done as we would before. We pull these, but if we flip it over, what we want to do now, we pull it tight like that. Then if I flip it over, what we want to do with this green end, so this, remember, this is our working end, all I've done, I've turned it over. We want to go down, bring this down only through the green. So green goes through the green. We want to get it under there, but not under the other one as well. I'm going to pull that down like this, and then we should be able to, the little manipulation and getting it around. Let me, because I'm doing this on camera, so it's just a little bit more awkward. I got my brain into a mess. So, same stitch as always, we're going under there. This is going to come around and over. Pull the stitch through, and what I'm going to do is pull it taut-ish, then I'm going to flip it over, and what we want is to push this back through a little bit. We want to take our green working length and threadle it. I'm going to pull it open a bit, threadle it down through there. back again, and we've just got to manipulate that, keep pulling it, hold it tight. Now this pink one, you're going to have a look how it exits, because it's exiting from the side, so we want to pull it sideways. The green is kind of coming down, so we want to pull it down to tighten it. So now we've got that, and as you see, it looks like a nice clean stitch. The green follows the green. So what we're going to do now is our first bit of cleanup. And what I'm going to do is quickly pause this and go get some scissors, because I'll need to cut this. So I'll be right back. We're just going to trim these ends and light them. Right, so got my scissors now. What we're going to do is just going to give this one last little tug. Going to snip this one, and being gentle, if you've never done this before, just touch the lighter on it barely, because you've got to be careful not to melt anything else. So it's, and then just give it a little brush with the lighter. So I wasn't touching, like the lighter was about here. I move it ever so slowly closer and it will slowly melt. So here on the back, just going to pull that taut. Exactly the same thing. We're going to snip, and then, because if you're not careful, you melt bits that you don't need. So you just want to brush it lightly, and then you smooth it down, and as you see, it kind of melts it into it. So that means that's not coming undone. That's melted into itself. So now we pretty much have our bracelet. So what we've got to do is, now we've just got to be more cautious of this magnet. The magnet needs to be on the outside, because these are powerful, but it's not going to work through however many layers of paracord there are between it. Or it would, but not very well. We want it kind of that little bit exposed, so you can see the magnet there. So what we're going to do, flip our magnet over. So we'll look at, flip our bracelet over. So now the magnet is touching the here. We want the magnet down, because now we're going to thread all these. So we're going to go pink to pink, green to green. And if you remember, that was these little starter holes. And this is why tweezers sometimes come in handy, because you can kind of open it up a little bit and come in from the back, and then sometimes if you're lucky you can thread it through like that, or you've got to sort of tweak it. Pull it through. Could try pushing it. There we go. So I've got one through. Always goes same colour to same colour. So here was our 20 inches from the start, and we're pulling it through there, and you're probably beginning to see, so it looks like a bow now, but beginning to see how this is going to work. Now let's get this green one, pull that open a little bit with the tweezers, and you can, however you want to do this. I find tweezers help, and also I've found pushing it through is easier. So all I'm doing, I'm getting that burnt end bit that's sort of melted already, because whenever you cut paracord from your whatever you've got, a reel, you should burn the end so that it doesn't all start unravelling and going all ugly. So I'm pushing this with the tweezers. Just keep working this. There we go, that popped through. And pull that through. Just make sure there's no weird twists or anything like that. Sort of just get your paracord and just pull it like that. So if there's any weird twists in it. But now, as you see, we're nearly there. That's the bracelet, and all you're going to do is put it in, and you're going to pull it like that, and there's your ammo. I'll do it down here. Sorry, I was looking at the other camera. So, how do we stop it unravelling from here, and what do we do from here? Well, first of all, we're not going to tie it up at that point, because we'll never ever get it off again. This is what they call the Mad Max style. So we're going to open this up, and we want to get it to a point where I can comfortably get that on or off. So about there. So I can pull this down a bit. We want the knot to be roughly there. Now what I do, and it's up to you how you end, just make sure you got your, let's get that point again. So roughly there, just because I lost it. Make sure you got your cords on the right sides. Now there's many ways of doing this. They call it an end knot. There's plenty out there. One I go for is called the toggle knot, because it's really easy to do. It's neat. It's small. Like some people, they prefer this one called the globe knot, and it's what it sounds like. It's like a little globe. It's a little ball kind of thing. I find that uncomfortable, because if you're resting your arms down or something, or pressing it, you've got that ball pressing into you. As you see, the toggle knot is very easy, and it's nice and neat. So here's where I want my toggle knot to be. Here's my loose ends, so they're going upwards. This is the rest of that 20 inches. So all I'm going to do, think of it like a firework coming out and doing that way, and then the right hand side will go that way. But one goes above, one goes below. So this one is going to come out like a firework and boom, and go underneath itself to cause that loop. This one, the green, is going to go up and out that way. But this one's going to go over. Doesn't matter left and right, which one goes over, which one goes under. Really doesn't. As long as one has got to go over, one has got to go under. If I can you see that, how that works? So the green has come up and gone over everything. The colourful one went around, or come up around and went underneath everything. So we've got like this little bow tie look. So all we've got to do now is, so remember the green is coming over, so we're going to come out from underneath and out through here. So where it's over here, it's going to go like this. And this, the colourful one, because it's coming from underneath, it needs to go over to create the knot, and then out to the side. Now, if I can get it, hold it with my fingers and thumb and try and manipulate it. If I just pull it like this, there is our toggle knot. So we are going to do as we've done before. We can do it a lot closer now. We're going to snip, and as soon as you snip, don't do snip 2, because it could start working its way. Again, I'm going to move it so slowly close to it. Let the heat reach out. As soon as you see it start melting and bubbling and looking wet, and do that. You can get like an old knife or something like that. I just use the edge, because these lighters, you all know, you shoot them, so you know that they're just cheap. Same again on this side. we're going to go snip. And we're just going to keep my fingers clear. And we're just going to melt that green into that, and we're going to smooth it out. That melts that out, and that is our ammo bracelet. I can pull that out like that. I can just slot it on. I can pull the toggle, and then what most people do, do that on camera. So here's my bracelet. I put that on. The toggle knot stops these from being pulled straight out. What you do is pull it closed and then just wrap it around a couple of times. One, two, and there's my ammo bracelet on. Now if I flip around to my camera up here, as you can see, I've got my bracelet on. A lot easier to put on than fiddling with that shackle. And that's going to stay on there. That's on there like with that toggle and everything. That's pretty tight. And if I'm just going to take a handful of ammo. Let me get that right. And all I'm going to do is plomp. Just dunk that on there a couple of times. Because normally I would just dunk this into the ammo. But there. So there now is my ammo bracelet. Knock all these off. I'm actually quite pleased with that. And to get it off, all you do, pull the toggles out like that, pull it, slip it off. And there's your ammo bracelet. And once you take it off, if you've got your pot of ammo wherever you go, just chuck it in there. And then you know where it is for next time, and you lift it out and it's already got ammo on it, ready for next time. So let's have a look just for some measurements. So here's what's left of those 20 inches. So that was, remember, I have a 10.5 inch wrist this is working for. I was left with 7.5 inches. So if you're doing this, maybe do 15. It's up to you. 15 you should be good and still be cutting off, but you'll have a little less wastage. Anyone out there who's into paracord knows everyone's got like that little bag filled with all the little bits of paracord. So what I'm going to do now is do exactly like what I've said before, is just melt that down. If I wanted, I could fuse. This is just for those that don't know, you can fuse the two bits together. And if you get it right, they stick. Just a bit of fun. So there was, out of 20 inches for that whole core, 7.5 was left. So I always like, as you've seen, like it takes a while to make these. It's not like a nightmare. It's like only probably half an hour. Like if you're not recording and moving things around and that, it's like half an hour to do this. But you don't want to get to the end and then be, I'm 2 stitches away from it looking perfect. So I'd much rather have that in a bag to use for something else. And before you, what could you use that tiny bit for? Let's just snap this off. So it's small. The zipper on your whatever EDC bag, just boom, tie a little overhand knot, bang, on there. Now you've got a tiny bit of paracord. You never know when you might need it a little bit, but it's also then a zipper pull. You can make like tiny little zipper pulls. There's videos out there. So that's that from the 20 inches. Now I took, as I said, 14 feet, and this looks like quite a bit left. So I went way over. So what I'm going to do, the green is a little bit smaller because of the weave, so let's do that. So what I'm doing, just fold it in half, fold it in quarters. This isn't something you have to do, but I'm going to measure it and then just times 4 because I folded it into quarters. So, or sorry, for the American audience, in fourths. So that is, funny enough, where I folded it into quarters, that is nearly a foot. So I'd say there's 3.5 feet over. So, and I say I've got a big wrist. You'll probably get away with 10 feet, and unless you've got a big wrist like mine, then go over a bit to like maybe 12 feet. 12 feet should be like them. You'll definitely have some to cut off, but you'll definitely be safe as well. But yeah, so I now know next time I make one of these to go way lower. And that's it. So we've made ourselves a nice little ammo bracelet, and got through the whole thing without saying fa.